Howdy everybody, welcome to Tuesday Guusday. I'm going to try to make this a weekly series. It's going to be a much smaller series than my combo compendium because sometimes the news just kind of runs dry and there isn't really much to talk about. But I discovered, I'm not going to take credit for discovering this. Somebody else probably did before me, but I found this out on my own the other day with Muddy Mudragon is actually a level 6 dark, which has the same effect as King of the Swamp, where it can be... that's the wrong one. Where it can be used as a substitute for any one fusion material. Now this is particularly important for a deck like Branded Tier, which you haven't seen in quite a while, because it was really only popular at the start of Pote format. But you can actually send Muddy Mudragon to the graveyard off of Granguinal's effect, because when it's fusion summoned you can send a level 6 or higher light or dark from your extra deck to the graveyard, which does include Muddy Mudragon. But Branded itself doesn't really have a good way to fuse from grave without going for Lubellion or Albion. But if you use either of these to fuse away with the Muddy Mudragon, it can get pretty awkward to follow up with something like a Mirror Jade. Which of course Mirror Jade is like the tried and true boss monster for Branded. But there is a archetype that you might have heard of that can fuse from grave called Tearlament, which happens to be a fusion-based archetype that works pretty well with Despia. So let me show you a little bit of the applications of this card real quick. So we're going to need Cartesia plus any tier that isn't Rhino. So which of course we play 3 fusion deployment, and we also play 3 planet to help us like search both of these cards, because you can summon Cartesia off of fusion deployment by revealing the Guinal, because it lists Cartesia in the fusion requirement. So let's just show you a quick example of what this card can do for the deck. So it'll just be these two. These are the main little combo pieces for this little demonstration. Now you can either normal summon Cartesia or you can summon it with fusion deployment, just get it however you can. And then we will fuse the Cartesia with the tier in hand. This will summon out the Granguinal. Now we have two effects that trigger here. You want to make sure that you use the Tearlament first. So we're going to use Sheeran Chainlink 1. We're going to use Granguinal Chainlink 2 to dump the Muddy Mudragon. So now we have the Mudragon in grave when the Sheeran resolves, meaning that we can go for any semi-generic fusion that requires a specific named monster. For example, Rule Kalos. Grapha is another one, and also Millenniumize Restrict. But in my opinion, Grapha is just the best one to get, because Millenniumize can protect you from Ash, but not Imperm. Rule Kalos can protect you from Nibiru, but not Ash or Imperm. But Grapha can protect you from Ash, Imperm, and Nibiru all at once. But it does require that you have a card in your hand that you are willing to discard. But having that extra security to stop Ash on like a branded fusion, or if you special summon Cartesia with fusion deployment, and you can normal summon an Aluber in your hand, if they try to imperm your Aluber, you can negate that as well. So provides some extra little utility. So when you activate the branded fusion, you also have pretty much an Omni negate to stop that. And then you can just go for pretty much the full line here. In in the Tearlament build of Branded, you can also, instead of just going for like Tragedy or Ad Libitum and go for like the Guardian Chimera play, you can also send another tier name that you didn't use already along with the Albaz. And what this will do is it will allow us to make a Mirror Jade as well as a Stapelia by using our tier and the Grand Guinal. Now this can be nice because Cartesia recycles itself from the graveyard, meaning that as well as Muddy Mudragon, we also recycle this as well. You have like this kind of loop of resources where you you get the Cartesia back, you get the Grand Guinal back, and you also get the Muddy Mudragon back. Meaning you can make, on your follow-up turn, if you draw another tier, or like a Foolish Burial or another Branded Fusion, you can go for a Rule Kalos, or even something like a Kaleido Heart on the follow-up turn. And combine that with the field spell, it helps you break boards super easy. On top of having, you know, these 3 interruptions, right? So just off of like the Cartesia and the tier name, we get an Omni Negate, a Monster Negate, and a Quick Effect Banish. So that's kind of some of the utility for the little Muddy Mudragon guy. Now, if you're playing pure Branded or Branded Bestial, you can send this to the grave and then use either one of these to go into a Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. It's a way to get out the it's a way to get out the Dragoon without having to play Dark Magician in your main deck. Right? So if you don't want to play that main deck brick, or maybe you don't have space for King of the Swamp, or you want a play that's a little bit more consistent than hoping to draw King of the Swamp, any access to Cartesia will put the Muddy Mudragon in grave, giving you decently easy access to something like a Dragoon, which has for some reason become a lot more popular lately in the Branded builds. But I mean, I can see why, because it's hard for decks like Labyrinth and Kashtira to out this card. But yeah, that's a little bit it. Yeah. Wow, can you tell how tired I am? Yeah, that's all I wanted to show off with the Muddy Mudragon. And just this little sample deck list for a Branded tier that I've been working on lately. I actually think this deck has some potential. I'm gonna keep messing with it, see if I can come up with anything cool.